Now being joined on the news at 10 by Professor Akin Oyebode, a professor of international law and former Vice Chancellor of the University of Ado-Ekiti. Prof, you're welcome.
Thank you very much, Bimbo.
Well, 52 years of independence, and I'm sure there have been many mixed opinions expressed all day, and I'm sure these opinions will continue. But can we look at the political pluses and minuses?
Well, I think Nigeria is still very much a work in progress. From 1960, we had flag independence from the British colonial rulers to native governors. But little else has changed. And that's why I spoke about a flag independence. I thought that should have been accompanied by economic independence to wrestle the economy from the firm hold of imperialism. But we've not succeeded in doing that. Nigeria has remained a neo-colonial economy. And in fact, we've had more motion than movement in terms of progress in this country.
I don't know whether you want to link that to leadership, because a lot of people say that leadership is a problem. What kind of leadership are we looking for? What kind of leadership do we need?
Well, I think Achebe was right by putting his finger on the question of leadership as the main problem that Nigeria confronts. The leadership that Nigeria requires is one that has both a mission as well as a vision. In other words, a leadership that knows where it wants to steer the country to and has the wherewithal on how to get to that destination. It seems that, as many of Nigerians will say, we keep moving around like Baba's chair, all motion, no movement, as I said previously. So what we need is a leadership that is seized of the destination that Nigeria should arrive at according to some timelines. In other words, there must be benchmarks for the leader and who will inspire the rest of the population to actualize that particular goal or objective.
Yes, I think talking about inspiration, I wonder if it could be that what is missing is an ideology. The Americans have their dream. We talk about the British way of life. We talk about Asian enterprise. What is Nigeria's dream? What is Nigeria's rallying point or reason to be?
Well, we seem to be an unorganized mass. You know, even termites have some order or symmetry in the way they move. But Nigerians are disparate. We are pursuing our separate goals and aspirations. We don't seem to have a coherence at this national level. And it's the leadership that brings that into being. I'm thinking of a situation like Singapore faced when Lee Kuan Yew decided to move that island country from the third world to the first within 2 generations. I'm thinking of a leadership like Chairman Mao in China that decided to transform that particular country. I'm thinking of the leadership like that of Nehru in India that succeeded in laying the foundations for the India that we see today. So you need an inspirational leader who has convinced his confederates as to where Nigeria should be, when, and has a knowledge of how to get there. That, if you call that ideology, so be it.
You've used words like inspiration and goals. These are words that young people, I think, need to latch onto. But then young people have heard about the Nigerian project. And then when we also talk about projects, again, you've used some words that are linked to projects like mission, vision, goals, etc., etc. Well, how will young people key into this Nigerian project? What's their entry point?
Well, what is the Nigerian project? I think we have to start with that. There does not seem to be a consensus amongst the ruling class as to the Nigerian project. Is it to make life better for the majority of the population? I remember the action group in the days of Awolowo had a project which said, freedom for all, life more abundant. That was the slogan for the action group in those days. Now, I don't know what the project Nigeria is all about. I'm talking of a vision. Somebody must visualize, dream about Nigeria. Say, in the next 20, 30 years, what type of country do we want to achieve? Now, I don't think the vision 2020 is the type of thing I'm talking about, because that's a pipe dream. There's no pie in the sky, a pot of gold at the end of any rainbow. 2020 is how many years from now? 8 years? And if you look at Nigeria the way it is that realizable? The MDGs, 2015, we are 3 years away. I'm not sure we're going to attain those goals. So we have to go back to the drawing board to envision the type of country we should have, say, by 2030 or even 2050. Once you have that broad goal and objective, then you can now create the prerequisites for actualizing that particular goal or ambition. Then you convince the young people to plug into that particular program.
Okay, Prof, let's take a little break from our discussion. We have a special report, and this is kickstarting our series of reports assessing Nigeria's growth in 52 years. Our correspondent, Charles Eruka, is going to examine the nation's progress, and we'll come back to our discussion.
Very well.
Thank you.
Independent Nigeria is 52 years old this year. It's a rather cruel irony that the CIA World Fact Book puts the life expectancy of the average Nigerian at 52 years. Indeed, it's been 52 years of mixed blessings. When the British Union Jack was lowered on October the 1st, 1960, it was with high hopes that the foundation fathers of the new sovereign nation hoisted the green and white flag. Within 6 years, the dream of a new African democracy had turned into ashes, set ablaze by ethnic and regional divisions and consumed by a bloody military coup d'etat. Within a year thereafter, the country witnessed another bloody coup and then exploded into a full-blown civil war. Nigeria would, however, emerge from the ashes of the war after 3 years into a period of relative stability that witnessed unprecedented prosperity, occasioned by a global oil boom. In October 1979, the then military head of state, General Olusegun Obasanjo, handed the baton of power to a democratically elected government. Within 4 years, the democratic government led by Alhaji Shehu Shagari was toppled in another military coup. It marked the beginning of another 15 years of military rule. Democratic rule was finally restored in May 1999, and the man who handed over to the last civilian regime in 1979, Olusegun Obasanjo, returned as democratically elected president 20 years after. Since then, Nigeria has enjoyed its longest unbroken spell of democratic rule in 52 years of independence. The 13 years of democracy have been anything but smooth. The country has been beset with the challenges of militancy in the Niger Delta, sectarian violence in the north, and the monster of corruption, which appears to be getting even more formidable.
Corruption has become like a statecraft in Nigeria. The reason is this: if you have poor governance, the tendency of you trying to assist yourself, prepare for a rainy day, is most likely going to be there.
From the high hopes of independence, there's a growing sense of cynicism about the nation's leadership.
I always say this country is led and controlled by thieves. By thieves.
The education system is depressed, the youths increasingly frustrated, and in spite of economic gains on paper, the standard of living does not reflect the nation's income.
Our number is a strength to anybody in the world, economically, socially, anything. The fact that we have 160 million together somewhere, nobody in the world would want to toy with us. So it is left for us to recognize that and still see the fact that, this is our own strength and make use of it for the good of Nigeria.
As Nigeria marks 52 years of independence, the dampener on the celebrations may be the thousands rendered homeless, hungry, and desperate by the floods. In the face of a looming food and humanitarian crisis, what is needed is introspection and proactive remedial action. Charles Eruka for Channels Television News.
Well, Prof, you heard the report. We haven't actually got much time left to discuss, but as I was watching and listening, what was going through my mind is, how does the international community view us? What is the perception of Nigeria outside?
I believe Nigeria has an image, that of the ugly Nigerian. I remember it was General Colin Powell, former chairman Joint Chiefs in America, who became Secretary of State, who said that Nigerians were marvelous scammers. So the image we have in the international community is that of swindlers. Nigeria introduced the term 419 into international lexicon. Then we have been found wanting in the area of drug trafficking, human trafficking, and all manner of malfeasance. I don't know how many Nigerians are in jail in China, in India, in Thailand, Malaysia, name it. I know there are Nigerians doing wonderful work in the United States, even in NASA, UK, Germany, name it. So it's like a mixed bag. We have excellent Nigerians. We have a Nobel laureate for talking out loud.
Indeed.
And so Nigerians are individually super performers. But on the whole, I think we're underachievers. So it's a paradox that individually Nigerians are wonderful people. Okay, but when you now do a sum total of what Nigeria represents within the international community, I think we're on the debit side in terms of perception. Look at corruption. Transparency International Perception Index usually places Nigeria at less than favorable position in terms of corruption. Whilst Nigerians are adjudged guilty of corruption in foreign courts, the Nigerian courts have not succeeded in nailing so many of our corrupt people. I can only talk of Halliburton, I can talk of Kate Hughes, I can talk of Siemens, I can talk of so many other scams involving highly placed Nigerians. And Nigerians have not been able to actually ensure that those who have been found wanting pay the price. I know a few cases have been well done with in Nigeria, but by and large, I think the anti-corruption struggle seems to be dead on arrival.